All right, welcome everyone. My name is Marissa Berman. I'm the Assistant Director here at the Holocaust Center. And this is our second semester hosting our internship for studying what was happening during World War II in Asia. And we're very excited about this project. Last year was our first semester and it was really exciting. The project culminates with students being able to interview actual comfort women survivors via Skype in Korea. So today, to help us prep for what we have to do, we've invited Assemblyman Ron Kim to come in and speak to us about his experience when he went to Korea and saw the Comfort Women Memorial and spoke with some survivors. So we're going to use this opportunity today to find out about what Korea is doing today to memorialize what happened to these women, and also to give us ideas on how to interview these women and these survivors. All right, so let's welcome Assemblyman Ron Kim, who's a big supporter of the Holocaust Center.
Great. Thank you for that introduction. I want to thank Queensboro Community College, Holocaust Center, of course, CASE, Jejin Park, from the Korean American Community Empowerment, as well as Professor Kim, for doing a wonderful job the past 2 semesters, and of course you guys for participating in this amazing program. First I'd like to go around and just learn your names, and see, what you're studying and what grade you're in, if you don't mind. So you want to start?
So, hello, my name is Clarissa Mayo. I'm studying liberal arts, mathematics, and science, and this is, I'm graduating next semester, so, yeah.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Hepzibah Prem Kumar. I'm studying liberal arts, and I'll be graduating this semester.
My name is Cassandra Catapano. I'm studying liberal arts with an emphasis on journalism.
Hi, my name is Tanya. I'm studying health-related sciences.
My name is Shu Chen. My major is mathematics science.
My name is Gregory, and I'm a fine arts major. This is my last semester here.
My name is Susan Stewart, and I have 2 more semesters, and I graduate in the fall. And my major is psychology, and with the emphasis to be a psychoanalysis.
Great. Congratulations. You guys eating back there? It's okay, you can just speak up.
Hi, my name is Fauzia Sani, and my major is nursing.
Great.
My name is Pedro Montes. My major is health science. I'm studying for physician assistance.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Rafa Ponte, and I'm studying archaeology and anthropology.
Great. Terrific. And how many of you guys heard about the Comfort Woman before this program? You have? Okay. But majority of you guys, this is the first time that you learn about the Comfort Woman and the history behind Comfort Woman. For me, I've heard about it. I didn't know what exactly it was until I had a chance to visit South Korea about 5 years ago. I went there with the delegation of professionals, and we spent the whole week visiting government officials, to corporations, and we even took one day to go to North Korea. And it was a 1 week dedicated to learn the history of South Korea, both economically, historically, and politically. And the highlight of that trip during that week was when I visited the Comfort Woman nonprofit center, where it's more or less like this center, except a little bit smaller, and it was surrounded by different types of stories, and it's a museum, a collection of stories of all the victims of Imperial Japan when they took advantage of not only Korean women but various other people in and around the Asian continents. And during that trip, I met with one woman who was there and shared her story with the group of us. We had about 10 people, just like here. And she just, story by story, how old she was when she was first abducted, and and the experiences she went through it. And at some point, half the room was in tears. I mean, just because when we saw her, we didn't see a comfort woman. We saw, our grandmother, one of our grandmothers talking about the horrible experiences that she had to go through when she was a teenager, barely an adult. And all she wanted was acknowledgement. It wasn't, she didn't want retribution. She didn't want any kind of financial rewards. She just wanted acknowledgement from all the governments and from the international community that this happened, and make sure that these type of atrocities won't occur in the future. That's all she wanted, and that's why she continued and continues to be active and talk to the younger generation. Constantly shows up to the museums and the nonprofit centers to tell her story. And imagine, she's got grandkids now, she's got family members, and it's not an easy thing for a woman of that age to come out and talk about stuff that she had to suppress all of her life. But there are women like that out there who has the courage and bravery to really influence the next generation to make sure we don't repeat history. And that's what this whole project is about. For me, as an assemblyman, when I ran for office and when I became an assemblyman, I made a commitment to serve the community with the moral compass, to make sure we protect our most vulnerable members in the community. And to do that, I needed a clear sense of what's right and wrong. And it was moments like that when I met those types of individuals, those comfort women, that really shaped my moral compass and why I'm doing this, why I'm a public servant, why I wanted to be in a position where I can influence public policy at a local, state, or whatever level, and ultimately protect the type of individuals who were victimized historically and make sure that doesn't happen again. So having said that, I want to also just to talk about why it's important for you guys, to be part of this program. Some of you guys are graduating, some of you guys are continuing their different fields, but I want every one of you guys to understand it's not about vilifying Japan, or one country. This is really about understanding our history. We can't move forward without having an honest conversation about what had happened in the past, and that will shape your own individual missions in life. So you guys have to connect the dots moving forward from this program. No matter what, you better become a nurse or a lawyer or banker. There's so many different ways you guys can continue to stay involved and make sure that organizations that support human rights groups, and there are currently thousands, if not millions, of women who are being exploited now. I call it modern day comfort women. There are different types of people who are being trafficked every single day, domestic workers who are constantly being raped and don't have a place to go. They're just stuck in no man's land throughout this country, throughout the world. What do we do about them? Do we continue to look the other way, or do we acknowledge that there were certain atrocities in our history that had occurred, and people have stopped to it now? We step in, no matter where you are in different parts of your careers or your professional lives, and volunteer and help out with various organizations. Yesterday, this is kind of very timely because one of the mayors of Japan, there's a city called Osaka, this guy named Toru Hashimoto came out and said that the comfort woman was a necessary component of war. And he was very, very clear about his stance. They said that he went as far as saying that soldiers needed women to stay satisfied during times of war. And he said that, hey, everybody does it. And he even encouraged U.S. soldiers to come to Japan and take advantage of their women now. This happened yesterday. This guy, and I bring this up not to vilify again the country of Japan. This is one individual taking a very conservative view. But it's important to also know that this is happening because there are individuals with those type of philosophies and ideologies who are in a position of power, throughout this country. And it's up to you guys, it's up to us to say, hey, this is not acceptable. Women are not made to be compromised to anybody. Not now, not ever. We need to be active. We need to interview these women. We need to also reach out. We live in a time where everyone's interconnected. Everyone has access to internet. We can get on Google. We can get on various websites. So we can actually email the mayor of Osaka directly today. You can go back home and email the city of Osaka and say, hey, this is an embarrassment not to your country, but for the entire world that you have a mayor who thinks this way, and we're not going to accept that. This is not about Japan versus Korea or Korea versus Japan or China. This is about human rights. This is about protecting basic rights that everybody has, especially women who are already walking with a disadvantage in this world as it is, but now you have to be treated as second-class citizens. No, it's not acceptable. And if it's not us, it's no one else will do it. We are a country that always took the higher moral ground. We always had the pride of having the moral compass to lead the international scene. It all starts not from me, from you guys. I'm just the spokesperson for ultimately my constituents, you guys, but you guys have to generate that buzz, to generate that tipping point where the world formally acknowledges what happens and commits to an agreement that this will never occur again in the future. So I'll continue to say a few more things about my experience, but I'm gonna just open it up now just to have more of a dialogue, and I want to learn from what you guys have been learning for the last 3 months as well. So I'll start with some questions. Yes. Sure.
Oh. Hello. I'd like to know about your career path as an assemblyman.
Sure. So I grew up in Flushing. I'm a local Queens kid. I lived on Roosevelt Avenue. You guys all from Queens, or?
Yeah.
Most of you guys? Okay. And after college, I came back. I went to school in upstate New York, and I studied political science. And I came back, and I wanted to just get involved. So I started volunteering with local elected officials, just when I was around your age. I worked for a guy named John Liu. He was a councilman at the time, representing Flushing. He became my first mentor, a public service mentor that helped me really bridge the gap in what I wanted to do in the future and make me persuade me that public service was the right course for me. And after that, after having working for John Liu, I worked for a number of elected officials, but more importantly, I just stayed active. I started to care more about the district that I grew up in. After I came back from college, I saw things with a different perspective, a different lens that I wanted to have. I wanted to put tangible change and improvement right away into my district. So I started going to local police precincts, started complaining about, the quality of life in my backyard. Why aren't people picking up their garbage? All these things started to matter to me more. And eventually, when John Liu decided he wanted to run for a citywide seat, now he became city controller, I wanted to run for his seat in 2009. That didn't work out that well, but a few years later, another opportunity came where I had a chance to run for the state assembly seat, which is part of a 150 people body at the state legislature. So for you guys, have you been to Albany? Have you guys been to Albany?
Yeah.
You have? Okay. So the state of New York is structured in a bicameral way, which means that there's a state senate and the state assembly, and there's executive office. Just like how the White House and the President of the United States is structured, where you have U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, and the White House. We have the governor, the state assembly, and the state senate. So I'm one out of 150 members representing the state of New York for you guys. We are called the people's body of New York because we are closest to the people of New York in terms of representation. I represent about 130,000 people in Queens and represent probably the most diverse district in the entire state, if not the entire country. We have over 25 to 30 languages spoken. You can see it when you walk down Flushing or when you walk down Northern Boulevard, how many different types of languages that you hear just around you. And that, for me, is a beautiful thing. You know, like our democracy is based, the strength of our democracy is based on our diversity. Our ability to learn from each other. Just in this room, and just look around you. How many different cultures are represented just among 10 of you guys? You know, this is something that can't be taught in any school, in any institution, and only in a place like New York, in a place like Queens, we can experience these type of intangible lessons. You can walk away with life lessons just from talking to each other. Not to take away Professor Kim's hard work, but there's so many things that a place like Queens and New York, and a district like mine, will bring to the table that I can't possibly imagine that I can learn from elsewhere. So that's kind of my story. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to know, like, before you visit Korea and everything, what were you like expecting? What were your expectations? What were you thinking? Oh, what I'm gonna see, and like, how was that different to what you actually saw, and how that changed you?
Sure. So I'm what they call a 1.5 generation, meaning 1.5 Korean American, meaning, I came here at the age of 7, just like many immigrants. My parents packed up, looked for the American dream and settled in Queens and had opened up small businesses and really worked, 365 days, 7 days a year, just so that I can have better opportunities in my career and education wise. So when I went back to Korea, this was the first time I went back in almost like 15 years. I had visited Korea before that when I was a young kid, but this was the first time as an adult. And I come from a very humble family where I chose to be a public servant, meaning that, you don't make a lot of money, so you stay very local and you continue to serve your community. And I didn't have the luxuries to travel abroad or go back and forth, unlike some of my peers. So for me, I had a very personal experience, not only dealing with the comfort woman, but just dealing with my family, So my grandfather, he had passed away before I visited, about 10 years before I visited South Korea. And because of where I was in my life, I was the only one in my entire family who could not go visit him. It took me 10 years on this trip to actually go and take some time to visit my grandfather's grave. So this is just a very small glimpse of the type of experiences that immigrant Americans have in this place. And for me, that was all interconnected with my experience meeting with the victims, the comfort woman, center, and the other people attached to that, because it was all, for me, like, I didn't see just a comfort woman. Like I said before, like I saw like my grandmother. She looked like my grandmother, and she was talking to me about how she was raped and how she was tortured. And in my heart, I didn't expect to be that emotional. I didn't expect, because I didn't know what to expect. I had such a detachment from, the homeland, as we call it, because I was so Americanized, growing up here. Like, I didn't know what to expect and how to deal with some of these stories that I was confronted with. And it was very, very emotional. And with that, every one of us who was there, we walked away, just like how you guys will walk away from here, with more of a dedication to improve the quality of life or the overall mission of protecting vulnerable members of our societies in whichever way that we chose. And a lot of them ended up going into law or or medicine or whatever, but they still became involved. They still served on nonprofit boards. They still went to colleges and gave lectures about their experiences. And that's what we're expecting from you guys. We want you guys to be diplomats and be the surrogates of these stories. Because, sadly enough, in 2-3 years, most of these comfort women would not exist anymore. They're in their 80s and 90s, and we're going to lose most of them, if not all of them, in the next 5 to 6 years. So you guys are left with the stories, and it's what you do with the stories that will impact the outcome of their experience. So you have a tremendous responsibility, and I'm glad that QCC took the lead, to bring this curriculum here, because it's very important to not only the comfort woman, but the entire international community.
After being in Korea and hearing their stories, in your opinion, what do you think is the best way to be, as you said, surrogates for these women? How do you think we should keep their stories alive in a way?
Yeah, I mean, we live in a very viral world where, each video can go viral in a heartbeat, where there's the social media and there's Twitter, Facebook, all these mediums to communicate. But the most important way, in my opinion, as a policymaker, that we can never take away is one-on-one interactions. Face-to-face storytelling. That is the most powerful way of spreading a message, and no technology will ever take that away. So I think you have to start from there. Whenever you do get a chance to talk to your peers, to your families, you have to start telling the stories. People who are younger than you, people who are coming in as freshmen, high school students, talk to them about, the atrocities that happened in World War II. And tell them about this experience that you had in this program, and that's where it will start. And ultimately, they'll also start telling their peers as well. So I think with these type of experience, the word of mouth, face-to-face sharing is very, very critical. So be an advocate of the comfort woman by continuing to express your opinions and your experience and your stories to your friends.
Since you grew up here in Queens, Flushing, I wonder the connection, or what was the thing that takes you to get those stories, to get you involved in the comfort woman?
I'm sorry, say that again one more time?
What was the thing that make you to go and interview these women to get more of the stories and get to more?
Yeah.
That was the thing that...
Yeah, so when I went to Korea 5 years ago, our schedule, so I was one out of 50 Korean Americans. We went as a delegation of various different industries, and it was a fellowship program. It was like an internship fellowship program just like this, called NetCal. It was based out of USC. And we spent about a week visiting the president's house and all these different types of institutions. And in the middle of the week, they gave us a few options. You can choose to go visit the Comfort Woman, nonprofit center or a different place. And it was split, and I chose to go visit the Comfort Woman because I honestly, I knew about their stories. I knew about the years of protesting. So a group of women leading up to that point visited the Japanese embassy every month, to protest, for years. And this just to make a point that we're not going away, that we want you to acknowledge what happened. Now again, they don't want any money. They just want acknowledgement. Hey, we were tortured, we were raped, and I just want you guys to acknowledge that part of history. And I personally just wanted to know more because I didn't have the knowledge of what exactly happened. I wanted to see for myself, Because, quite honestly, like I'm here, we read both sides of the story. We hear some of the conservative Japanese Americans, like Mayor from Osaka, city of Osaka, telling their story. And I've always wanted to be an unbiased person and go into something and learn firsthand from the people who were there. And there's no reason for them at that point in their lives to lie about, being tortured when they're 14. These are, again, they have to come out of their family structure, and some of them even have to embarrass their grandkids and their kids to come out and say, hey, I was a victim, of rape. And it took a lot for them to do that. They had no reason to do that, unless, there was something important at hand that was beyond just themselves. And that's really what I walked away with after meeting them. It really wasn't about them as individuals. It was about, the legacy that they want to leave behind, after, they leave this world. What kind of a story will the world know about their experience, and how will they interpret, that portion of history?
I have two questions. One, my question is, I would like to know, in dialoguing with your grandmother, what was her strength that kept her alive? And my second question is, do you think as a male or man that men's values need to be revisited so that they can see the female as being equal to them and not lesser?
I think for that woman, I'm sorry I forget her name, it's been years, and I just call her one of our grandmothers. She possessed in her strength to actually come out forward and be active about it, but from stories that she told us, she just blacked out. When she was being tortured, and she put her head into a different world and different mindset. And just like many victims of torture or whatever, they try to survive by trying to put their minds in a different, world. And that's how she was able to withstand, that experience and overcome it. But again, she suppressed it for years, hadn't told a soul, not to her kids, not to her grandkids, until maybe, I guess, like 10 years ago, when she had enough. The fact that some of the conservative members of the Japanese government refused to acknowledge. She didn't want to leave this world knowing that the world did not know the truth of what happened. Because for her, it was a very profound thing. Like I said before, she wanted to make sure the next generation, the younger generation, can walk away with the lesson that this is not acceptable. Woman should never be treated as the comfort woman to any man. And we must, no matter what the world becomes, if there is war, we must have some human rights standards to protect everyone in this planet. And that's kind of the philosophy, and that's one of the driving reasons why she continues to be active. For your second question.
Yeah, and before you go on to the second one, I also think that in doing some research on my own, I find that people who have been abused or victimized, is either two ways they go. Either they come out to prevent it, or they begin to abuse.
Yeah.
And I think that was a really nice thing, to face it, confront it, which means she dealt with the shame of it before that she was able to come through.
Yeah.
And I think that's a very good thing.
Yeah, and just to comment on that, you're right. It's either one or the other, and it's an intergenerational thing, because we see abuse in certain families. It doesn't come from one individual. If you really look into the history, that individual was abused, and so far and so forth. And it's intergenerational carry on of hatred and abuse and even crime for that matter.
Yes.
So it is very brave of this one individual and others like her to put an end to it and to step up and really own up to it and try to improve on the next generation. But I wonder, at the same time, I wonder how many victims around the world that we don't know about.
Yes.
That took the other route, that their lives became detrimental not only for themselves, but for their own families. We will never know that it's an intangible impact of crimes during war that we can never fully measure. As for your second question, I agree with you that there is a level of inequitable, balance between men and women, and we can see it even in our modern society of how women entering the same type of jobs, the same kind of roles, end up getting paid less. We see it even now in New York. It is unfair in the hiring practice and in the work culture. And I think I'm a big proponent of trying to fix that. I've been very proud of our governor who put out what we call the Women's Equity Package. It's not perfect, but it's one step toward trying to alleviate the gap between men and women that continue to exist. But more philosophically, I think we do live in a world where a lot of the industries and a lot of the cultures that dominate industries are dominated by men. And that's the truth of how Wall Street works. How sometimes even a place like Albany, it's often dominated by men. And I see it in my home. My wife works in real estate, and she's surrounded by men of power. And what that breeds is a culture and a mindset that men bring to the table, right? And that's how society will have been structured for so many years. And as a woman entering the workforce, what do? Do you adopt, your way of thinking and your way of behaving, trying to climb the workforce ladder, trying to fit in or do you challenge that and say, hey, I have I'm a woman, this is the way I think, this is how I feel, this is the right way. And there's different ways that I see, there are different types of things that I see in the workforce that I believe, women are better in terms of bringing to the table. Yeah. And we're finally at a point we can have that honest conversation. We can acknowledge, the positive things and the negative things of different types of cultures, of man-dominated culture versus a woman-dominated culture, and have a dialogue. And for the first time, I believe we are having those type of conversations. Yes, I agree. And we're making progress that way.
Yeah, and I also want to say, in the 1817 to 1900, women weren't really writing. Our first writer, I think, was Virginia Woolf, One's Own Place. However, if you write in as a male, you're writing from your perspective. Mm-hmm. You don't know anything about me. For instance, I can share with you today, I do not like to take medication. Mm. I have a sensitive stomach. If I take 2 Tylenol, I cannot take 2 Tylenol in 4 hours right after. My stomach feels sick. So you cannot write anything about me unless you sit next to me and I tell you about me and we do the hypothesis. And then you can find out about me. So I think sometimes all these writings from old need to be re-evaluated, and they need to come back again to the table and find out about us, because we are people too. We were not created to stand on top of your head. We were created by your side to help you, and you do so to me also. So I think sometimes even in the home, if you go back to Sigmund Freud, which I love a lot, where he talks about the child between the ages of 0 to 6, you have to train the child and take care of the child and teach the child to be empathetic towards their peers or their mother, or to be respectful. If you take the city bus and you listen to the teens, how they foul language, they disrespect the ladies and the women. And many times I said, if these parents can ride the bus in secret or have them videotaped or something, I know she would say, oh, that's not my child. But we need to revalue and do some things as men.
Sure.
For men, so that the younger generation, we would not repeat and have another dark horse, because it could be worse.
Sure. And I think this ties in very well to the comfort woman issue at hand and making it more germane to our modern day society, right? You know, it's taking the lessons of what happened in the past and applying it to what we're experiencing now to bring more equity between men and women, and that's very, very important. Just one quick thing, you know, there's a book called Lean In. Have you guys heard of this book, Lean In? Sandberg, I believe, she's the COO of Facebook, I think. But it's about, I mean, it's really addressing the unfairness of our workforce and our world and dealing with the unfair balance between men and women. And there's a case study that she cites in that book, in particular, that's kind of relevant to what you're saying. They went to a business school and interviewed, gave 2 sets of case studies to all the students that had the same type of negative flaws and positive flaws of management, but it was the same exact qualities, but one case study had a man's name on it as the study, and the other study had a woman's name on it. So when the results came back, even though it was the same exact qualities of management, the study with the man's name was, approval ratings were very high. Oh, he is an exceptionally good leader, he is strong, he is blah, blah. When it was the woman's, even though it was the same exact study, except the name was different, it was like, oh, she's beguiling, she's deceptive, she can't be trusted. You know, like, so what does that say? It says that we don't even know it, but subconsciously we exist with certain biases, you know, toward women. We don't even realize that we exist, with these type of biases, and it's a very, very powerful study, and it's something that at our age and moving forward, we need to be fully aware of and talk about with the next generation to address those type of unfairness.
You have mentioned that you've been told about comfort women but didn't know, which led you to learning about it. So as you sat face to face with one of these women, what ran through your mind as you was attempting to get her to open up and tell a story?
Yeah, I mean, so you're asking me what was going through my mind when I actually met the woman face to face. It was just an emotionally driven moment. You know, it was her. We didn't ask that many questions. You know, it was her just telling her story, and for us, we collectively felt so privileged that we were actually touching her and we were actually around her. We didn't want to dominate the conversation. Like, we want her to talk as much and share whatever she wanted to share with us, and we wanted to be just like osmosis. We wanted to just observe everything. So we can take those stories with us, you know, and tell other people, tell our families, hey, you know, I actually met a victim of World War II, and that's really what I felt. You know, it was just like I said, you know, it wasn't a victim. It was. I felt like it was one of my family members that were victimized during World War II, and they suppressed it all these years and wanted to just unlock just all these years of thoughts and reflections and just their philosophies. Like imagine if you, and I don't know your background story, but everybody has something in their past that they're not, proudful of, or they've been victim, they've been bullied, or whatever. I came here when I was 7, and I was bullied around in public school, just like many kids went through. And it's a very small example, but it took me 10 years to open up and tell my parents, hey, and this was when I was in high school, hey, by the way, when I was in college, by the way, when I was like 11 or 12, like kids used to pick on me in the bathrooms, in cafeterias, and I never told you because I didn't want to worry you, right? And that's the same, it's a very small example, but that's the kind of mentality that these grandmothers had for 60, 70 years, right? They didn't want to worry their kids, they didn't want to worry their grandkids. They suppressed all, I got bullied, these women were tortured, beyond what you and I currently can probably withstand. They were in hell for years, and they kept those stories to themselves until now. So for us, we were just in awe, so we were just there to listen and be just emotionally attached to their stories.
Since you know more than us and you really get involved, I wonder if you know any particular story that really impacted you, if you can share with us.
Any particular story that did what?
That really impacted you, that got you thinking more than just the regular stories. They really caught your attention.
Any particular story from the Comfort Woman or outcome? Yeah, I think for me, when she told us that when she first opened up, her families were somewhat ashamed or didn't want to deal with, the attention that she brought to her and her family. That was the initial reaction. The way a lot of these, I think, Asian cultures, particularly Korean cultures, they have a lot of pride. They have a lot of family pride. So when there's something that's negative or something that can shine a negative light on the family, they kind of don't want to deal with it. So she was telling me when she first opened up, her family wasn't as accepting. And for me, that was very, because it's different, because over here, in America, we live in a culture where we accept our family members, and we have communities that will embrace, but I can't imagine when she first wanted to come out, the difficulties that she had to go through just to even express herself. But now it's different. But when that first phase, when she wanted to come out and tell her story, it was a very strong and for me a difficult time for her. And I wanted to tell that story because there are people around us now who have been victims, who may not be in good positions, and whenever there is an opportunity for them to connect with you or anybody else around you, you should keep that in mind, that it takes a lot for a victim to come out and express themselves and try to connect with you, and you should always be open-minded and cognizant of the experiences that this Comfort Woman went through, so you can be more open-minded in the future.
As you just said, the family couldn't accept her, and then how are the life of the other Comfort Women? Are they able going back to their normal life before they have?
Yeah, they're perfectly fine now. There's more of a structure to protect these women. And to make sure that their stories are heard and the families cope with it. And it's not just these nonprofits in Korea, they don't just exist to tell a story, but also to deal with their family members and how to capture their stories as well. So it's much better now, from my understanding, than when she first wanted to share stories.
If you were face to face with the people that deny that this happened to the comfort woman, like supposed Japanese Imperial Army members, what would you say to them?
Well, I think it stems from our earlier discussion of how certain people view the role of men in society versus women. And I think the conservative members, like the mayor of Osaka, thinks that there should be prostitutes even now to appease men. I mean, he was clear. He encouraged American soldiers to visit the modern day comfort stations in Japan. This is how men exist. That was his rationale. I mean, that's just like way, way on the outlier of the rest of us, right? But the fact that, like I said before, a person like that in a position of power exists, and they have a soapbox to express themselves, and it's going international, whatever it's saying. I think U.S. Congressman Steve Israel, Mike Honda already released a statement admonishing, the mayor. But I would say that, you gotta, enough is enough, and we have to check into reality. We have women in powerful positions, and we have women who are equal or better than men in this world, and we can't continue to live, in the 20s and 30s, and that's where their mindsets are, and we need to join the 20th century.
Hey, so I like mics. I was wondering, would you agree, say that comfort women are more scared of losing their stories? Like, if it's coming from their mouths themselves, would you prefer to write it down or videotape it?
Oh, I think you got to do both. You got to capture as many different formats as possible. Yeah, I mean, the video these days, it's such a powerful thing. So you have to do the video, but you also want to capture in written blogs or in any other formats as possible.
Yeah, because as an archaeologist, it kind of sucks to lose a part of history. Because from what I know, like people like Plato or Socrates, it came from their mouths, but it was written down by students. Sure. So I'm guessing us as a collective entity, we could just write it down when we're doing an interview or something. So I don't know.
I'm sorry, what was that last part again?
As a collective entity, we could just write it down instead of losing that part of history. Because we never know when, they could pass away or anything.
Okay, so. Right. All right. You want to capture your own stories by writing it down.
Yeah, from different perspectives.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, your reflections on your collective experiences and how it impacted you as individuals should be captured. And you guys should be privileged that this is the first cohort, of students that really had the experience to spend a significant time to study this issue. So with that comes a responsibility, with that comes, a responsibility of putting it on paper, of reflecting on your experiences and sharing the stories in whatever formats that we can help you with. Yeah.
So as students preparing to interview a survivor ourselves, what would be your advice to our approach in talking with them?
Well, I think you guys are well prepared, to interview, because you spent 3 months learning the history and learning both historically and emotionally, where they're coming from. So I think you just have to really focus on capturing their story. I mean, it's a very simple thing, but you gotta, you gotta be prepared to listen. I mean, these people, these individuals will share and will consume all the time, all the time that's allotted for that interview. So I would recommend be as concise as possible. Don't ask 5-sentence questions. Just be as concise and give them the opportunity to talk, because they have a lot of things that they want to share with you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
So we definitely want to thank Assemblyman Ron Kim for sharing his thoughts today, his really candid and frank opinions, and his experience when he was in Korea. It's amazing to hear it. Again, just the power of hearing it firsthand from someone, what their experience is like. And I know that you'll all take this and use it when you interview your survivors. One of the things that we like to say here at the Berg Holocaust Center is that we're a safe space for uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable experiences, and that's what this is. It's hard to open these doors that are uncomfortable and talking about issues that are unpleasant, but we need to, right? We need to talk about them so we can prevent them from happening again, and we need to share these women's stories so that other people know, because before I started working here, I had never heard of the Comfort Women myself, so it's very important for us to educate everyone. And I want to thank Dr. Kim for working with her students for the second semester. And I want to thank Chejin Park from the Korea Association for Civic Empowerment for helping us to have this amazing program. And of course, our president, thank you so much for coming. Would you like to say anything? No, of course, we'd love it.
But I have to say thank you. Thank you so much. First of all, thank you so much, State Assembly Member Ron Kim. We're very proud of you. We really are. He's terrific. Obviously, each one of you has had an extraordinary experience learning about this issue and feeling comfortable and ready to be the voices of the people with whom you speak and of whom you speak. This is very, very important. It is a privilege, I'm sure, for you to meet the people who have triumphed over some very, very bad things. And I know that you'll also carry the lesson that unless we are all working together to educate one another, some terrible things could possibly still happen in the future. So you are our present, you are our future, and I thank you for honoring the history and the extraordinary stories of the people that you will work with in this project. So I thank you so much. I want to thank our wonderful partners. Thank you very much for your work. Case has been amazingly important. So I would love to speak with you individually at some point. I'm sure we'll try to make that arrangement so I can learn more. Students teach me as much as I was able to teach them when I was in the classroom. So I thank you. And I thank you so much for being here. This is an amazing representative of the people, and he is tireless in his efforts to promote education and advancement for all of you in your communities and in society. So thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.